now. It's my pleasure to introduce you to our speaker today, Mirko Kleiner. Mirko is the creator of Lean-Agile-Procurement, LAP for short, president of LAP Alliance, co-founder of Flow Days, as well as being a serial award winner, international speaker, author, and agile enterprise coach. Before I give the floor to Mirko, I would like you to know that we are using Mentimeter for the Q&A. I am putting the link in the chat, and you can also see the QR code on screen. All right. So without further ado, Mirko, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Munhai and JF. And yeah, welcome to this little inspiration to the next stage of business agility. So let me just set up my desk here. I apologize. I need to share my whole screen, otherwise my Menti won't work here. So I'm gonna talk to you today about the next stage of business agility, and this is about scaling agile beyond companies. If you think about it, all the benefits of being agile in terms of business agility won't stop at the company front door. And yeah, so what is interesting about that, what fascinates me is if you're looking for an even higher impact than just within your company, but if you're looking for an impact throughout your whole supply chain, or even if you think a bit further, for a whole ecosystem of partners, suppliers, even competitors, and even beyond that, even if you want to create a bigger impact to the environment, society, then this is exactly your call here. Furthermore, if you're less of an agile coach or change agent or something, you're more interested in the business itself, it will bring a lot of value to you as well, because we're gonna inspire you there why we could have even a bigger impact for business than just improving agile mindset and ways of working in the traditional just delivery and other functions. So today, this is not a theoretical talk, so I brought with me 7 stories. So I also have some little engagement planned, at least. And obviously also Tesla will show up a little bit here. And I will close then also what's in for me for us, all of us in the Agile community. So really hands-on applicable tips as well, where you could start your journey. But first of all, I really want to start with something very, very small, something everybody of us has. And if you don't have it, we almost can't live without it. What is that? This little tiny thing that currently even is disrupting a whole industry. I'm talking about computer chips or semiconductors. You might have heard of that. There are kind of some supply chain issues. Actually, for the more advanced computer chips, there are just 2 companies capable to deliver those. And because of lockdowns and closed borders and so forth, a whole industry could not deliver anymore their products. And isn't it in Agile all about delivery? So how could that just happen? I mean, for somebody that has no clue about supply chain, etc., this might be, yeah, that there are just this close borders and that's the main reason. But no, those companies, just to give you some numbers here, Bloomberg recently reported that GM and Ford, the 2 biggest car manufacturers in the US, currently have more than 300,000 cars on stock. So they are not able to deliver the cars. They started still to deliver cars with less features, but that's somehow also not the solution. So how come that these companies struggle so much? Well, they have become victims of their traditional mindset and traditional behaviors. So who is responsible for taking orders, managing the suppliers and the supply chain? Well, it's procurement. And these guys very early at the start of the pandemic did some forecasts that the market will slow down. And so in a traditional way, attitude, they stopped the orders for those semiconductors, which in a normal time, this would be just not an issue. That would be the traditional behavior. But now it really became an issue because as the market did not slow down, they could not just put another order because they had just single source strategy, and they had no alternative. Now, the chip manufacturers in Taiwan and also in Japan, they had, in the meanwhile, other new customers, like building webcams and all this other things that were needed during the pandemic. So the car manufacturers had really a challenge, and here they are. Now, Tesla instead, they never had this issue, at least not at that scale. Now they realized that that the semiconductors are a strategic part of their cars. Just to give you a bit of a number, a traditional car has up to 3,000 semiconductors. So it's not that they are just waiting for one. So some of them are very stupid and others are very advanced. Now, also Tesla struggled a bit because they also didn't foresee that the whole supply of the ordered semiconductors will be disturbed. But they had a multi-vendor strategy on one hand, and then they also started to source from different vendors. So even chips that were not 100% fit to their purpose, and they were capable to even rewrite the operating system in no time. That's this level of business agility, the other car manufacturers are not yet there. So this just as an introduction, how important our partners and suppliers could be to our business. It could even ruin us in the worst case. So if you are where are we in the development in the Agile community? We started on the team level with Kanban, Scrum, and so on. And currently we have these two trends. We want to scale what was working so nicely on a team level, on a company level. And the other trend is all around our own mindset and behavior, right? Personal agility. Now, what we are foreseeing is kind of the next stage. We are just as agile as our partners are. You think about it with the supply chain. Now, to be really frank here, a supply chain per se is also not agile because every node in the supply chain is a potential risk to fail, and then the whole chain will fail. So the future is more a network of company and ecosystem. So if you don't believe, even Jeff Sutherland says that this will become the next big thing. To give you some outlook, where this all will lead to. And, we all know these startups that have no legacy, no history, that we're scaling and doing things nicely as we all think and believe it should be, like Tesla's and SpaceX and so forth. But this is a company, more than 50 years old company, a Chinese company, Haier, that had this legacy, and they have undertaken the fourth big transformation. And the last one in almost 10 years ago, they started to pull down their whole hierarchy. More than 80,000 employees have been reorganized in, as they called, micro enterprises, which is in fact nothing else than a team of teams setup. So in this team of teams setup, they were following, they were guided by some key management principles. I just took here the most important ones. So first, they believe we need to become as close to the customer as we could. So if we have marketing, sales, budgeting, and so forth in our way, that's not as close as it could be. And second is they believed in self-management. So they said everyone is an entrepreneur. So they started to organize in a team of teams. And they got awarded as the very first company in IoT, Internet of Things. And the former CEO said, if we want to become successful in IoT, we need to organize ourselves like in our IoT. Now, from a commercial point of view, it's very interesting. In the past 10 years, Hire had a yearly growth of revenue and profits of 20%. So that's just unbeaten. It's incredible. And they also have been much more resilient if it came to during the pandemic. Now, you might not know Hire, but they 3 or 4 years ago, they acquired GE Appliances, American company. And at these days, GE Appliances was almost bankrupt. And within just 5 years, and GE Appliances started to apply the exact same principles, they are not yet there. They are maybe on stage 1 of 5. But just with the first stage, they reached again market leadership. So this is a little bit of an outlook. Now, where to start? I want to touch with you 3 challenges that you could take and take home, and we'll also tell you some stories behind those. So first of all, if we reduce a company really to the max, to one team, I think everybody of you is familiar with Scrum. Who do you think is responsible and accountable for third party, for a supplier? Let's just have a little poll here. If you please gonna scan the QR code at the top right, and you will be able to vote. And don't be scared, there is no right or wrong answer. Yeah, so some believe the Scrum Master, this is a Scrum Master task. Others think the product owner. Others, the whole Scrum team. Yeah, so as a little tip here, it's undefined. The Scrum Guide does not tell you the right answer, but our recommendation is start to ask this question. If you're in a Scrum team, if you're a product owner, if you're a Scrum Master or a developer, have you been in the situation where you were kind of sick of that somebody else was choosing your partner, your tools you have to use, or even worse, somebody else negotiated the contract with third party for you? That's exactly the situation that we don't want to have. Because on one hand, this slows us down, and second, we never will create the ownership and this relationship that we need to gain speed together with our partners. So thank you for participating on that. So that's kind of your first takeaway. Start to ask this question: who owns this partnership? Who owns the relationship with the suppliers? You could even extend the question: who owns the contracts? Who should negotiate it? Who should participate in the negotiation? So maybe if you're on the supplier side, sales will support you in that, but definitely the Scrum team should be represented in this whole journey. And if you're on the buyer side, it's the same thing. Procurement might support you in that, but you should be in the lead and have the final call. So second challenge, so I guess everybody is familiar with the business model canvas. Where we accept that the business case is kind of a living document. And it's a funny story, but Alex Osterwald, the inventor of this canvas, is also a Swiss guy, and we know each other. And I asked him, how do you get to the key partners? And he said, well, that's pain in the ass. It sometimes takes months, right? And it's quite common because the traditional selection sourcing approaches are very, very sequential, and procurement just has overdone that. They add too much of bureaucracy, and that was an invention. The whole process, how to source, was an invention to solve simple to complicated problems, where we knew what we want and how to solve it, and even the partners were clear. Now, in our days, we have to find partners for solutions we don't know yet. So more innovative, where we have complexity and uncertainty, a lot of unknowns. And if you think about Hire, they have more than 4,000 updates or new contracts every other month. It's completely different speed they have. And if they would need to wait 6 months for a new strategic partner, the whole idea of the network would fall apart. So what's the solution? How can we find partners based on agile values and principles, and more faster? So we invented a new approach called lean-agile-procurement, which is basically kind of DevOps on steroids. Somebody said it, labeled it recently. So in DevOps, we assume that we have all the capabilities in the team that is capable to develop and operate a service, a product, or a solution. Now, think about for a moment, if we would start with this team, with this cross-functional approach, with the idea. And if we need partners, we're gonna add people from compliance, procurement, even legal, whatever is needed into that team as long as needed. And that, just because of that, we become super fast. Now, the image that you see here is from a real case where we sourced an ERP system in just 2 days. So how is that possible? So instead of using this transactional nature of, the business creates the business case or R&D or whoever, then we go through budgeting, portfolio, we hand it over to procurement, they try to find the best solution and partner, they get the proposals and so forth. It's just a nightmare. It takes forever. So think about this DevOps on steroids team who has all the capabilities needed in this whole value stream from idea till contract signed and beyond. Well, this team does everything that we usually do in sourcing. And what we did here, they came down within just a few days to a preferred solution and a short list of potential partners. And instead of asking them for a proposal, we invited them. simultaneously in the same room. It could be virtual or in person, so that we could build the alignment about our case, about what we need from the external support together with them. So we had multiple vendors, competitors, simultaneously in the same room, co-creating the solutions with us, co-creating their proposals, doing the negotiations, and even improve a draft of an agile contract within just 2 days. And at the end of the 2 days, we selected the winning party and signed the contract. And as we had the people there who could also do the job, so we did not just invite the sales and the account managers, and so they have been there. But we in particular asked for the people we might work with throughout delivery. So because of that, we got, first of all, very honest answers, very honest forecasts and estimations. We also could talk about any kind of risks and even technical details. And as we had those guys there who could do the job, we even run a proof of concept in parallel. So that's the kind of collaboration that you could achieve if you have the all the parties, all the right people in the same room, virtually or in person. Now you might think, but those guys have been our competitors. Why they show up? What about intellectual property and such? Well, we made this clear from the start. We defined what kind of informations are confidential, and we had all those conversations in private rooms. The beauty of still having everybody there at the same time was often it occurs that something very relevant, you know, something nobody thought about it, pops up in such private discussions. And so we have immediately the possibility to share that with the others so that they could update their solution design proposals or even the contract. Now, last story, in this ERP case, one of the biggest cost drivers is the licensing model. And we somehow forgot about it in the preparation. As we realized that in the workshop, we immediately stopped it and we asked the 3 competitors, could you please forget the next 15 minutes that you're competitors and just co-create it for us. And they just did. 15 minutes, done. Another example, so that you could see this even works in the public sector, is I'm currently involved in sourcing new trains. This is a $1 billion case. And we had very, very bad public procurement cases in the past, a lot of failures. And so they were really, really scared. And so we tried to find a new way how we could minimize risk. What we found out is that a lot of engineers were involved in those tenders. And it took them ages. They came up with almost 8,000 pages of specifications. So they put the focus on the how, on the solution, instead of the why and the what. So we took them one step back and said, well, you know, it's something that happened in the past in software too. You know, the senior software engineers, the architects built something, designed something and handed it over to the delivery team. And then later on, we found out it's the wrong thing. So what we did just a 4-hour workshop with customer and user representatives, like people in wheelchairs, family with small kids, people from maintenance, security, cleaning. And we met at the subject in the train and we asked them, what do you like about the train? What would you ask for in a new train, and so forth. And we got 80% of the user needs in just 4 hours. And so this case is still in progress. So the next stage would be, instead of asking for a proposal, inviting the vendors, the train manufacturers, inviting them, bringing their product, their train, and walking the train, and then specifying the delta, the contract, what needs to be adapted. And instead of then investing a whole billion, we might build a prototype, or we might run a first train, or order a first train, and also have an incremental delivery. That is kind of revolutionary for the public sector. So the third challenge is, how can we manage a partnership more agile? And I was thinking about that, and it's so funny because if you think about it, often we treat our suppliers, and I personally stopped using the word suppliers, because supplier means, or could be understand like, we are the buyer side, the cost, not even the customer, we are the buyer side, and you just need to supply. So we know what we want, we specify, we tell you what to do, and you just follow. Now, in complex cases, we need their co-creation, their competence, their experience. So we need to meet on the same eye level. So we are talking about a true partnership here. And you might wonder, but this has a lot in common with a couple. And I just want to play here a little video, a little parody for a minute or two.
But I can't trust him. I feel like he doesn't respect or appreciate all the things I do for him.
What?
Hold on. Let's let her finish expressing how she feels.
Well, let's start by looking at the forecasts he provides me. They are extremely inaccurate. He knows. It's a never-ending headache when dealing with inventory and service levels, but he just doesn't care.
I get grief about my forecasts at every one of our meetings. Believe me, I wish I had time to provide her with the information she needs. But how about some appreciation for the revenue that I bring in, huh?
Well, how about showing some appreciation for what I do? You have no idea how complex it is to plan and manage new product introductions, distributions, procurement, and also delivering what you need so that you can focus on selling. All I'm asking for is a little more consideration, future warnings, and accurate forecasts.
I want this to work. You know that. I wouldn't be here if I didn't. We just want to make a little profit.
Yeah, so this is a parody. So just another short exercise for you. What do you take away from this little parody if you think about your current buyer-supplier relationship, no matter on which end of the medal you are? So empathy, yeah. Ursula? Yeah, isn't it all about collaboration in the end, right? If I think about my own partnership with my wife, I mean, I need to grant her the same rights, otherwise it's not a partnership, right? So I think we can learn a lot from our private life to our business relationships. So thank you very much for your participation here. So in Agile, we often have like, there are procedures, there are good practices and so forth. For us, true agility is thinking outside of the box. And this is an example here from the other side of the world. It's closer to you than with me, Auckland Council government in New Zealand. They faced a challenge that what you see here in the background is the Lean Canvas. That's our tool that we use to co-create a partnership and even an agile contract together with the vendors, as we are in such a big room competitive setting. And usually we prepare an agile contract as a base for discussion. Traditionally, we would say, this is the contractual framework, take it or leave it, here you need to sign with blood. Now, if you're looking for a partnership, this is a subject for, this is just a base for discussion, and we try to improve it. We try to find out what are cost drivers, even on the contractual side. Somebody recently said a contract is kind of the glue between the businesses, between the companies. Now, in this case, the Auckland Council, they faced a challenge that it was impossible to come up with a draft because the vendors they have chosen had so different commercial models. So just imagine, some was really a project-based approach, and the other had more of a subscription-based commercial model. It's very hard to come up with one legal framework that fits both. So lucky them, they had a lawyer in this DevOps team on steroids, and everybody was looking at him how to deal with this challenge, because they had just 2 days to do everything and also to finalize a contract. And he said, well, if we just have 2 days, we don't have the time to read and understand the vendor's contractual framework. So what if we just trust and not even read it? And everybody in the team was like, what? What drugs have you taken? And he said, no. Instead, we're gonna write down on a one-pager. They ended up with 3 in first priority. We put that in first priority, what really matters to us in this relationship from a legal perspective. And so they did, and they put that in first priority, and they were not, it was not needed to read and understand the whole rest. They just talked about the 3 pages and proved it together, and that was it. That's true business agility, thinking outside of the box. And by the way, just for everybody interested in the topic agile contracts, an agile contract is not just a statement of work, it's the whole. Needs to be agile. If you think about your last NDA that you have signed, it's maybe not on the same eye level, so it's not following agile values.
Hey, Mirko,
Right.
what is
if you have
GTC?
Yes.
What is GTC?
Good. General terms and conditions, statement of work, and non-disclosure agreement. So this is I just put here some usual terms, usual documents in a contractual framework.
Thank you.
So if we have built the trust between the vendors in our partner ecosystem, then magic can happen. And this is an example with Echo. This is the second biggest company in agriculture. They build tractors, and they introduced a team that was looking for innovation. And traditionally, this would be done just internally. They would play around and find, do customer interviews and so forth. But this time they did it completely different. They took, based on our approach, this idea of co-creation and co-innovation, and took a tractor into its pieces in a big hole and invited marketing, production, product management, the current suppliers, plus competitors. How cool is that? And ask them, what ideas do you have? New materials, new production methods, less parts, new ideas. And that's, if we think about the Agile Manifesto, collaboration over contract negotiation, that's really where we could go. That's really where this all could lead to. So, long story short, what's in for all of us? So I want to start first with the impact that we create if we start supporting not just delivery or HR or leadership or marketing and product management, the traditional kind of roles and functions where we started to support as agile coaches. If we go over and start to work also with commercial roles like procurement, finance, account management, sales. So what might be shocking is, depending on the industry, those roles are responsible for up to 80% of company revenue. Now, applying lean-agile-procurement, we could improve time to market in average by 400%, easily possible 800%. Now, this means millions for those companies. Even more interesting is the public sector. The public sector is this is a number from the World Trade Organization. This is an average. Public sector is the biggest investor in the private market, with up to 15% of the GDP. Now, I met the commercial head of New Zealand 1 week ago, and he is responsible for $51 billion. So the impact we can create is huge. Now, this is the commercial impact. This is interesting on one hand. So we don't need to negotiate our day rates anymore. But even more interesting is if you're more purpose-driven like I am, if we start to work at the border of companies, we also make the rules how we want to collaborate, and we also talk about impact. So procurement, for example, has a lot of other topics they feel responsible for, like sustainability, circular economy, diversity, inclusion, you name it. Think about it. The next time you select a partner, put also those criteria in the selection criteria. And you will not just find a better partner, you will even change have an impact on the environment and even on the society. So, make a long story short, the new topic is thinking in ecosystems instead of supply chains. And just as a reminder, we are just as agile as the whole ecosystem is. So this agility doesn't stop on the company front door. Those commercial people, they face exactly the same challenges as we used to in delivery, like lack of alignment, lack of focus, and so forth. So it's a huge opportunity for your trainings, capability buildings, coaching, and so forth. Based on our studies, just 16% include currently their partners in their agile transformation. So if you are part of an agile transformation, start to invite these people, these commercial functions, and also maybe in a later stage, or depending on the strategic level of a partner, start also to include them into your agile transformation. Yeah, one more thing. We came up with a survival guide. This was written for procurement leaders in procurement, but you guys will get it immediately, and it has it shows the whole journey where procurement and those functions currently are and how they might develop. It's kind of also gives you as agile coaches some inspiration how to support them on their journey. So even beyond outcome to bigger impact. You will get this white paper by downloading the slides as well. So this is us. We are in collaboration with a lot of 15 other alliances from procurement, supply, but also agile community. We are also offering certification classes if you're interested. And yeah, if you want to find out more, go to lean-agile-procurement.com and download the slides and the white paper. Thank you very much.
Yay, thank you, Mirko. So let's share the screen, JF, for Menti, because I think I see a few questions in there. Mirko, can you stop sharing screen?
Yes, oh yeah, now it worked anyway. That's all right.
All right.
I also put the link for download in the chat.
Yes, I put that in the chat as
we'll
well.
do.
Yeah, I put that in the
we'll
chat.
do it.
I repeat it.
Oh, you already did it. Awesome. Thank you. Perfect.
Yep. Okay. So the first question, Mirko, how to deal with the dreaded SOWs, the unagile ones?
So the ones that are given that you already have, or how do you?
For me, it was more. I mean, and you did touch on this after I put the question up there, but it's more that in my experience, a lot of vendors, they really like the certainty that's offered by a statement of work that spells out in detail everything that's going to be delivered, and that locks scope in a way that is profoundly unagile. And so how do you kind of negotiate that flexibility and create a statement of work that that is agile?
Well, the simple answer is, you know, if it's you could also do a lot of things wrong on the buyer side. You know, if you come up with deliverables, you will get just that what you ask for. So that's why we started to. Yeah, I mean, in a just in a theoretical. So we have some evidence that that you kind of kill innovation if you have too detailed contracts and a list of deliverables. So first and super stupid answer is you need to go into collaboration. You need to create the alignment with the vendors. And a little trick is that we use if you don't have the opportunity to spend, you know, sometimes it's not 2 days, sometimes it's just an hour. We make our homework and we write similar to the train example. We write the scope more outcome based. So we leave the solution where possible open. But it's in the end, it's also an attitude, right? So if if you have these vendors simultaneously in the room it becomes obvious who is just like a soldier, just follows your calls, and who is really proactive. So we test that. And maybe if your kind of vendors that you are talking about are not behaving as expected, it's the wrong vendor. Or you make it transparent and say, hey, listen, we expect some other behavior. We are going on a journey here. We want to support you to change your behaviors. That's maybe another alternative. But I like your question because the statements of work, or in a bigger sense, the contractual framework should support agility and not the other way around. Does that answer your question?
Yes,
Yep,
thank you.
Cool. Next question. How do you treat or compensate the two non-winning companies?
So we treat them very nicely, obviously. Now, actually, I've been a former software vendor. So if we were bidding for a 10 million case, we invested 100 grants into the pitch and working prototypes, flying over to the customer with the whole team and so forth. So it's a huge investment for the vendors. Now, what we are offering them is a very compressed time frame where they need to be present, and at the end they have a decision. They have clarity if they are in or out, or sometimes it even happens that they partially are in, so they could do something. So that's on one hand already much more lean to them and beneficial. They don't lose so much investment, and they have clarity. The biggest challenge on the vendor side is having clarity. Yeah, we will come back to you in a few months, and then your people are booked in other projects, and then they come back and, oh shit, and what now? And then the struggle starts. So on one hand, just because it's more lean, the vendors like it a lot, and they also have the opportunity to present themselves much more than just an hour usually. But I always, if I support and coach the buyer side, I always ask this question: do you expect that we're gonna learn, that we take have takeaways that are some new learnings and so on? So my advice is always, let's pay the vendors, right? Not their day rate, but just a fixed fee, and if to also value that they show up and that they participate in that. It turned out, by the way, that this, from a legal perspective and compliance perspective, makes a lot of sense, because then you don't have any arguments who owns the results. So it makes also, from that perspective, very much sense.
Thank you. All right, next question. Where do your new ideas like lean agile procurement come from? Are they self-imagined or co-created with colleagues, or other ways?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I mean, it's an honor to say that the initial idea was really created by us, just because of the pain being a vendor for many years, and we tried to sell agility, new ways of working with our software services and such. And as I became an agile coach and our agile consultancy, we were looking for business agility as a whole, so cross functions, any levels. And it somehow came to the conclusion that procurement and sales, it's kind of a sweet spot. Nobody has taken care of that. And so instead of analyzing how these guys work, we just reinvented the wheel with just a hypothesis. What if we have just one day, for a very complex sourcing case? and how can agile ways of working, agile values and principles help us out. And out of this powerful idea, lean-agile-procurement, the sourcing part of it evolved. And then back in 2018, we founded the Lean-Agile-Procurement Alliance, which became a certification body. And in the meanwhile, we also have global certified trainers. And with this community, as we grow and we had more customers and more experts and people contributing, and this 15 other alliances we are collaborating, new ideas like what our agile contracts evolved, how negotiation need to change, how we can develop and maintain ecosystems instead of supply chains, and. So it used to be our sweet spot, and in the meanwhile, it became bigger than us. And I think it's just fair to say that there are a lot of people are contributing here.
Very nice, very nice. All right, I think we still have another question. Do you see this approach applied in a similar fashion when it comes to mergers and acquisitions? The track record of successful acquisitions anecdotally seems low.
Yeah, myself, I haven't been involved in an M&A, but what I've seen, the only very successful M&As are the ones where investors invested in a partner or competitor often and left them alone, right? I think the biggest mistake you can do is try to, and that's the old mindset, you know, oh, there are synergies. Now we have 2 IT departments, let's get rid of one, right? Or we have 2 marketing departments, let's get rid of one, merge them together. So I think the acquisition, I understand, makes sense, but the merger, I don't believe in it, the merge side of it. And if we think about, you know, hire, they go exactly in the complete opposite direction. They take even their business into bits and pieces to have this resilience, to have this fast market access. And the more monolithic your organization becomes, the bigger risk, right?
Cool.
Oh, by the way, regarding hire, they did the ecosystem first for themselves. So, I mean, you might wonder, appliances includes hardware, right? So production as well and so forth. But 2 years ago, and that makes this ecosystem project so interesting, they opened up their ecosystem even to third parties. So now those micro enterprises could find partners even all over the world. So this is really, really interesting.
Thank you, Mirko. And I think there's still one more. What are some related or adjacent coaching disciplines that can support lean agile procurement? For example, polarity coaching or clean language or any others?
I think it's so interesting. You know, we are collaborating, for example, also with Pete Behrens on agile leadership. And if you think about the negotiation, it's kind of a catalyst conversation. It used to be a good cop, bad cop game, and let's find another 10% we can put the costs down. But that's okay in a buyer-supplier relationship if you're looking for a commodity product. Then the price matters the most. But if you're looking for a partner, it's really about each other's concerns to build trust and so forth. So we applied the catalyst conversation in negotiations with huge success. So long story short, I think all the capabilities we have applied to delivery and any other parts of the organization could be applied to not just lean agile procurement, but to other functions and cross-company. Currently in discussions with some thought leaders in agile and supply and ecosystem, how can we see on an abstract level multiple companies, how can we treat multiple companies, competitors, and so forth? And we came to the conclusion that each company could be represented by an individual in the team, right? And it's interesting. And then we have again all the topics like team dynamics, the cultural misunderstandings, and plain language, and everything, right? So it's a huge opportunity for all of us, I would say. It's not, obviously we need to learn a new language. You know, they speak a weird language, other terms and so forth. But I was became very clear. I mean, we started working with those areas, with these domains 7 years ago. And it turned out to be an advantage not having this legacy of how they did it in the past. So procurement consultants, they really struggle to become agile. But agile coaches could become lean agile procurement coaches and trainers very easily, because it's common sense what they're doing.
Thank you so much. All right. Is there any other questions? I know
There's none.
nothing.
That was it.
Okay. Anyone else who have any questions that you want to ask? Okay. No? All
Can
right.
we just say thank you to Mirko?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yes. Awesome.
Big pleasure. Thank you.
Now,
welcome.
before we end, we would actually like to get some quick feedback. But yes, we do like to thank Mirko for such an inspirational talk. Now, let's take a look at what we think of this session. Let's go to the same Menti, and you should be able to see that now. So what were you hoping for when you joined the session?
Humor. I hope I covered that, the parody at least.
The couple video was funny.
Yeah. I do have some more. I mean, it's hilarious, you know, if you think about how we operate sometimes in business.
Right. Thank you. Inspiration, experience, cases, vision, insight, learn, lean, procurement, humor, case studies, practical. All right. Anyone else? Okay. All right. Oh, there's one more somewhere. Oh, see the mix, lean, agile. I suppose is procurement. White paper. Okay. You get the link now to actually download the white paper as well. Lovely. Okay, let's go to the next question. To what degree did this session meet your expectation?
Nice.
Thank you. Right, anyone else? I'm going to give it another 10 seconds. Okay, let's go to the next question then. How useful was this meetup? Yay, thank you. 10 more seconds. Okay. Final question. What is the one takeaway that you're walking away with?
Absolutely. 100%. Collaboration is key.
Indeed. Agility doesn't stop at border of the Scrum team. Very nice. Co-creation with your partners. Real world success stories. Collaboration can be done. Courage to say, what if we try it a new way? Indeed. We have to expand agility to our whole ecosystem. Amen to that. Out of box thinking. Trust is the new gold. Oh, I like that.
I love that. Yeah.
This is a
There's
new-
some full of those in the crowd.
Yeah.
Oh, Curtis, it must be you.
All right. Anyone else? Okay. Well, thank you all for coming. And on behalf of SF Babam co-organizers, we hope to see you next time. That's it. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Moonway. Thank you, JF.
Thank you so much. That was great. See you soon.
Thank
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Curtis.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, everybody. See you next time.
Ciao for now.
Florian.
I'm gonna stop the recording.
Yes, please.